Good morning. Friends, I am talking about the body languages. See, my first premise of this discussion is that I am talking to the persons who are going to go for interviews. Let me clarify again. You are going for an interview for a job, but it may be that you are going for an interview to meet some celebrities or somebody else. You are going for an interview for negotiation. See, interview for negotiation means what? That you are going to go for a discussion. Here the interviews are, during negotiations you will be asked a lot of questions. It will appear to be almost like an interview. So, all these points which I am talking about, it's irrespective of the age of the person who is an interviewee. Okay? You don't have to bother about what age you are. Just look at all these body languages and try to do what is right. Let me go into the details of this. So, what I have said, entry, space occupied, how you enter, how you occupy a space. Let me give this elaborations with respect to an interview room. I will not talk about the reception lobby anymore. Let me talk about the interview room. As if you are entering an interview room, how do you occupy a space given to you, how you move your chairs, and how do you take care of your height, and what should be your postures, what should be the kind of eye movements, and should you lie or should you not. Okay. First is the entry. See, it is very critical how you open the door first time when you are entering. Also very critical how you shut the door when you are leaving. Very, very critical. See, the thing is, when you open the door, never open the door halfway. See, try to visualize it. The door has a cutout, then the frame and the shutter. Okay? The door has a hydraulic door closer. So, when you are pushing, it is trying to push it back. Never open the door a little and then peep through. Never do it. If you want, ideal is you open the door to a good extent. You may not open it fully. At the same time, you do not do it very fast. Very quietly turn the knob, push it inside, and then show your whole body. It is very incourteous to show your head inside and your torso outside. So, entry is very important, and that makes a lot of impression initially when you are doing it. So, how you open the door? Again, I am repeating, you turn the knob, open it almost halfway through so that somebody can see your full stature through that, and then you seek permission, may I come in? And if you have said yes, please do come in, then what you do is you do not enter and leave the door like that. Don't. Usually what people do is, once permitted, enters and then behind the door is shutting by itself. Never do it. You open the door with the permission, you go in, turn it towards the door and see to it that it is being closed. You help the door to be closed. Once it is shut, then you turn around. But everything will happen in few seconds, but give that seconds. Pay attention to this. Okay? So, summary is, do not open the door full swing, number 1. Do not open the door with a very high force, number 2. Do not open the door a little bit and peep through while seeking permission. Do not do it. At least half you open, take permission, then you take your body inside, turn towards the door, allow the door to be shut, and then turn towards the interviewer. That is how the whole entry is. Similar is for shutting. What you do is, you do not see, now it is from inside. You turn the knob, open it full swing like this, and then you budge out and the door shuts behind you. Do not leave it like that. You turn the knob, open it at least half, take your body outside, hold the outside knob and allow and bring it to the position and leave it without making any noise. So, during entry or during exit, the door should not make any noise created by you. If there is a screeching sound automatically there in the mechanical system of the door, you do not bother about it. And sometimes I've seen in some cases the hydraulic door closer is not working properly. So once you leave it and it goes bang behind, these are very, very disturbing. So how you open and how you shut, you have to learn this trick. Okay? How you nod at the entry and wish the interviewers. See, you sought permission to enter. Once you have checked the door is properly shut, then you nod to the interview board. If there are more than one person, then you should nod, you should nod to everybody, but not like, nodding at each and every individual. No, don't do that. Basically what you do is you nod like this. Your nodding starts with like this and then end at this particular point. So your head is nodding only once, but with a swipe like this. Okay, you don't have to do every time for individual. The first thing what you do is try to identify who is the leader of this particular interview board. That means the chairman. Now, the way I said is a professional interviewer who is likely to hold the file. Okay, but sometime, let me put a note of cautioning. Sometime what happens is the secretary of the interview board is holding the file. Don't get confused. If the secretary is holding the file and you think that's a person who is a professional interviewer, fine, that's right, but he may not be the chairperson. You should be smart enough to identify who is the chairperson out of that. And if you cannot really make out, then in that case, don't take any chance. You almost nod to everybody. In a single swipe, nod to everybody. That's how it is. Okay? Entry is very, very important. It's just like dramatics. The entry of an actor makes the first impression. Same is in the interview. Entry of the person, a candidate, makes the first interview. Not only that, even the exit makes the lasting impression. I talked about this earlier as well. So how you nod and wish the interviewers is important. How you walk to the chair. See, the interview room may be a small one or it may be a large one. If it's a large one, then the table may be quite at a distance from the door. And there, the tricky thing is there are so many chairs, and out of so many chairs, many of the chairs are occupied by the interviewer, but you do not know which one is the chair assigned to you. See, quite often the interview team itself will make such indications to you that on the table is like this, the chairman is sitting on that side, experts are sitting on the sides, and on this particular edge they will put only one chair, and that's for the candidate. So you know that's your chair. It becomes easy. But in case they have 3 chairs, then where would you sit? In such case, if nobody is sitting on those 3 chairs and now you have the option where to sit, always select the central one. Sit on the central one. Because once you sit at the central one, then you are evenly balanced axially. Means you are sitting here, the chairman is sitting in front, all of the experts on either side. If you sit in the corner, then it makes a big difference that one set of experts are very close to you, another set of experts are at a distance. And not only that, your body takes a different angle, and that is not right. You should be always sitting, perpendicular to the edge of that particular table. And if, just to test your skill, if the interview board deliberately keeps too many chairs over there, it happens quite often. Like, say there's a big table, experts are sitting on either side, the chairman is sitting on that side, secretary is sitting next to them, next there, and on this side there are 6 chairs. Where would you sit? Would you sit on the last one, central last one, or the middle row middle one, or near the edge of the table the central one, or the end one? It's a very tricky thing. Okay, and in such kind of situations what you do is you will be always sitting on the edge of the table and the center chair. It's not only for your interview cases, friends. Whenever you are going to meet somebody for any purpose, if you find that there are so many chairs or too many chairs opposite to the chairman, then always try to take the central chair on the edge of the table. Suppose there are 3 rows of chairs. I have seen many such cases where 3 chairs, 3 rows of chairs, 1, 2, 3, next 1, 2, 3, and next 1, 2, 3, and that's the edge of the table. And all the chairs are empty. Now it's your choice where you are going to sit. My suggestion is never enter that particular chair aisle through the back side. Never. Go towards the front on the edge of the table, then skip the corner one, then take the center one. basically what happens is you will do this very, very subtly, very, very, with dignity, not making a lot of noise, too much of changing of chairs and all that. You will just simply move, turn, skip the first one, enter your body through this, sit on the center one. That's how it is. Okay. So, how we walk to the chair is important. And if it is a very small room and then you find that there are 3 chairs opposite to the interviewer and all the chairs are almost touching the wall, it's a very precarious situation, very dangerous situation. Where would you sit? And suppose all the chairs are of swivel nature and they are very heavy chairs and swivel nature, which one will you sit in? Always try to sit opposite to the chairperson. If it is only one interviewer, sit just opposite to the interviewer. If there is a group of interviewers, try to sit opposite to the interviewer, chairman, okay, of the interview board. And if there are too many chairs which are clocking your situations, in such case make a smart move to shift the corner chairs a little away, take your body inside and sit in the central chair. That's how it is. So, entry and then this walk to the chair is very, very important. But the situation is, what do you do if not asked to sit? I gave a hint in this earlier that there are some gestures deliberately manifested by the interviewer when they are not asking you to sit. In such cases, what you do? I gave you a hint that okay, you may make a little bit of this kind of sound to catch their attention. You can, but I'll tell you, this kind of sound like these are not very courteous. Don't do that. You wait for a few seconds. Look at if anybody is watching you or caught your attention. If not, then you say, "Good morning, sir." Just say, "Good morning, sir." Definitely the voice level should be such that at least one person nearest to you should be able to hear. Still, if you find that they are not paying attention, then you should be very sure that they are playing a game and they are playing an act by showing that they are ignoring you. Then you say, "Good morning, sir," a little extended one, but never be rough, never be arrogant. Give that kind of gestures, and then if suppose, "Oh yes, good morning, so can I sit or may I sit?" Just ask this question, and if you will find that the whole thing will go into a so nice, soft, sweet courtesy that you will be immediately saying, "Oh sure, sure, please take your seat." But take it for granted, entire thing was a drama being played, very well orchestrated drama. So, if you are not asked to sit, make sure that you catch attention of at least one of the interviewer, and then you have a pleasantry, exchange a pleasantry in terms of like say good morning or good afternoon or whatever, okay, depending upon the time of the day, and then you request for a chair. If they are not offering you a chair within say 10 seconds, then it is your turn to grab the chair. And the grab the chair means not by holding it and sitting over there. Take permission to sit on the chair. Okay, these are the things which you have to learn. Next is that okay, in terms of space occupied, the question is how much is your space in an interview board. I am focusing on the interview board alone. How much is your space? First of all, the chair which you are being offered is your space, and if it is a swivel chair, rotating in all directions, the entire of this is your space. But that does not mean you will be using the entire space. You should not see, if you are on a swivel chair, your angle should not go beyond 30 degree on this side, or say from here 30 degree or beyond 30 degree on this side. That means within 60 degree your chair you can move. Don't ever turn. Okay. If I analyze this ergonomically, you don't require more than 60 degree for seeing others, because within this 60 degree view cone you can see everybody with a very clear vision. Beyond that, the vision is slightly blurred. To have a clear vision, you have to move your head or eye lines, view lines like this. But sitting straight like this, if you take 60 degree view cone within which you can see everyone, and if that is the limit, then you're at the most, if you now turn your chair 30 degree on this side, then what you have is 30 degree, your view cone that you had, plus additional 30 degree, because your view line also has shifted. So, now you can have 120 degree view. All right. So if you take any further, it goes, incourteous and not necessary, unnecessary rather. So how much is your space? The chair that you have been given. How much is the space on the table? It is only up to that level where you have your items to be carry items to take place. I said earlier, architects, fashion designers, artists, when they go for interview, they carry a portfolio which is, about say A1 size portfolio. They do require that much of space. But suppose you are not given that space, then what do? You want to keep your portfolio, but you find there are lots of other reports and all. You don't have any space for the portfolio. My suggestion is don't start pushing their items, because on the table whatever is kept is the interviewer's items. You have no role to play with it. You can seek permission saying, can I just shift a bit? Can I shift this thing a bit? If you find the reaction is yes, please do. Two things they will do. One is either they will say please do shift, or the second thing is they will volunteer to shift it or ask somebody to shift this, make space for you. But once they made the space for you, the entire of that particular space where your portfolio is going to be sitting is your space, not beyond. So your space on the table and space on the chair is very, very limited. And in case you find that they are not being able to give space over there, then what you have to do is you have to keep your folder or the portfolio below. And when you are keeping below, be very careful. It is well rested on something. Otherwise, it will just fall flat on the floor. Quite often, the people mess up with their portfolios or materials. They don't know what to do with it. You remember I gave you an example that somebody, if suppose somebody is carrying their every items in a plastic packet, which is generally given in the textile shops, and then the whole thing is kept on the table. The moment they unfurl it, it makes a lot of noise. And once somebody takes out the papers out of that, it makes a lot of noise. And then if you fold it back and keep it here, it makes a noise. So 3 times noise made once it is being opened. The same 3 times will happen when you are going to take it up and then load it again. So be very, very cautious about how much is your space. Then comes the movements of hands. See, movements of hands is very much connected with the space that you have been given. Most often, say people try to sit like this, or people try to sit with the hands on the table, or people try to sit with the crossed hands on the table. But you don't have to really do all these kind of gestures, because don't be very specific to a single gesture. It may so happen that most often you try to see that your elbows are resting on the armrests. If you have a chair with the armrest, then try to put your elbows resting on the chairs, on the armrest, and your palms on the table. And you can always change your stretch postures or gestures whenever you require to use your hands. But quite often it so happens, if your interview is going on for long, and then you need to have your hand movements or finger movements, then sometime it may so happen like this, sometime it can happen like this, sometime say say this kind. All these are the gestures which has to be conducive with the kind of situations which you are trying to explain. But otherwise, elbows resting on the armrest and the palms on the table. Try to practice it, you will find that you will be very comfortable, but don't be rigid. I have seen many people that even if there is an armrest, they try to keep their arms between the armrests. That means the whole body is now constricted. Never do it. Make your body very free. Okay? And then comes the space occupied leaning forward. When you lean forward, most often when you are sitting, you try to sit straight like this. But don't be very, very straight like this, as if like a regimental straightness. No, be comfortably straight. And then you lean forward when you have to really lean forward to communicate. But that leaning forward should not have much of a discomfort at your body level. At the same time, should not look your posture to be in unnatural positions. Okay? But most often, I will suggest that in your interview, don't have a very relaxed situation like this, as the way I am sitting now. Don't try to show that you are very relaxed in the interview. You don't have to. Be very formal. So your torso should be always straight. Don't have a reclining, even if you are given a reclining chair during the interview, during the negotiations, during the sales, don't use the reclining chair for resting. Your body should be straight. Okay? And say it's straight to the level of comfort. though you have been given a chair like this. Because the moment you show relaxation like this, a relaxed posture of this, it starts playing in the mind of the interviewer or the person, like say buyer or something, that this person has taken the whole deal for granted. This person is taking the situation in his own favor. That's why he is feeling so relaxed, and so he is demonstrating his relaxations by relaxed mind by reclining on the chair. Don't give false impressions. These are negative impressions. Be straight. Okay? So you lean forward whenever you really have to. Leaning backward is the reclining one, which I said that don't. Okay? But too many times you also don't do this. Means don't sway your body forward and backward while discussing. Don't. Most often you try to be in this position and change your hands positions or the palm positions the way it is required. Mind it, everything matters. Impression is something where people have no control. You cannot control others' impression towards you. You can generate an impression, you can spoil your impression. You can generate a positive impression, you can also generate a negative impression. Okay? Spread the papers. I have given already this example. When you are spreading the papers, don't spread it too wide. Don't spread it too wide. Your spaces, you say, prima facie you take it for granted that whatever is the width of your arms of the chairs, armrest of the chairs, and just extend it to the table up to the extent, say, whatever is the width that you got, half of that is your depth. That is the area which you have been given, and be within it. Then comes the chair movement. Never make sound during chair movement. See, the thing is, quite often I have found that if suppose a screeching sound has come, because the person who has moved the chair did not really notice the stays at the base, whether it's a rubber or it's a metal exposed, and just accidentally when the chair is being dragged on the floor, it made a screeching sound. Immediately everybody gets hurt on the ears. Okay? The smart way is, if you want to drag the chair, first you look at the base of the chair and see, are they having casters? Okay, if they have the casters, then you can always shift the chair. But if they don't have it, then you very swiftly, very quickly look at all the four legs and see, are they properly rubberized, rubber buffered? If it is, you drag it. If not, you just lift it. See, this is a so subtle kind of things which you have to do it. It cannot be really trained. I can only express this. If you see that the metal frames are resting directly on the floor, and the floor is of hard material, not carpet, the carpet will have absorption, no sound. Okay, but if it is a floor, then you take it for granted. The moment you drag the chair, it will make four legs screeching sound. So the best is just lift it half an inch, shift it, place it, sit down. Okay, so the sound makes a lot of difference. There are two things. The manifestation which will create an impression. Extrovert's manifestation is, if you say take a chair or draw a chair and sit down, extrovert's manifestation is pull it with a jerk like this, and then when finished, leave it as it is. That's the extrovert's manifestation. Extroverts will not bother about others' comfort or discomfort. He will just drag it because he has been asked to draw a chair, take a chair and sit. And he will also not bother what to do with the chairs, because he is extrovert. He doesn't mind because he is used to this kind of things. And the introvert's manifestation is pull it very softly, and once the interview is over, then push it back wherever it was. Sometime the interview board may say, leave it, leave the chair where it is. If it is said, there are two options. You either leave it gently saying thank you, or else you may say it's okay, push it back. Give an indication that you are trying to help. It's okay, push it back. But do it very, very softly. Most often, whenever you are using the chair movements, doing the chair movements, you try to follow the introvert's manifestation, not the extrovert's manifestation. Then comes the height. See, height gives an impression of the authority and power. A tall person automatically catches attention of everybody around. But that authority and the power which you have imbibed because of your height should not be misused or overused. Okay, how does it matter if you are tall? You are here to face an interview. So, your softness, your politeness, your suaveness, your dignity added with your height should be the kind of manifestation. Okay? It should not give any indication of your power, that you are taller, because amongst the interviewer there may be some people who are shorter than you, and you should not look down upon them. So, your height that you have, it is a bonus, that it catches attention and it gives you a little impression of authority and power. Use it very softly without making others conscious about it. Okay? Then comes, so if you are tall, then suggestion is you remain straight. Just because you are tall, you do not have to stoop, and remain straight. If you are standing, remain straight. Then asking for a chair or asking a permission to sit, or you have been asked to sit, but till then do not bend, do not stoop, do not overshadow. If suppose it is something like, suppose you have been asked to demonstrate something for which you have to stand up. When you stand up, at that point of time also your posture has to be such that you will not stoop much, you will be standing straight and trying to explain. Do not stoop just because you are tall. Okay? This is very, very important. So, your height, if you are tall, you have an advantage, but do not take advantage of it. Next is the posture. In this, I have discussed a lot on these heights and postures in different terms whenever I was talking about your grooming and other aspects. Okay? But there are certain more suggestions. Do not rest your chin on the palm. Do not do this during interview. Do not do this during interview. Do not do this during interview. Okay? Do not do this during interview. That means your hand should not be used with your facial part. Never, means unless you have to do something like this or this, just for a second, because maybe some discomfort you are getting over here. Other than that, your hand should not reach your head. So, you are not going to do this, 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 you are not going to do this. So, there are hands and the face should be kept as far as possible separate. At the same time, do not remain in steady posture for long. This I had given a good amount of examples earlier. So, if you are standing, do not remain steady in the same posture for a long time, but at the same time do not change the posture harmoniously, change it occasionally. Do it so subtly that people will not understand or realize that you have changed your posture. But standing straight like an army and answering is not a very good thing. You should look comfortable. Okay? Do not harmonize, change your posture. I have already talked about it. Then listeners, see, when somebody is listening to you, you get some signals. That is the body language of the person who is listening. When somebody is breaking a posture, it is negative. Means you do not break the posture. Somebody is sitting and listening to you, and when he breaks it, you take it as a clue that he is no longer interested in your discussion. Okay? Unless there is also an alternative to it. Somebody broke the posture and came towards you, that means leaned towards you, he is paying more attention. But do not confuse this with the breaking the posture in general. That means somebody is sitting and listening to you, and then suddenly he breaks the posture like this, and you should take it as a sort of negative. That means no longer he is interested in your discussion, or you are not being able to catch his attention. Okay? Leaning towards the speaker is a positive. That means this is what I just now said, that somebody was sitting like this and suddenly break the posture, you take it as negative indication, negative signal, but the moment he leans towards you, it becomes positive. Okay? That is how you should analyze it. Then comes the eye movement. I have talked in detail about the eye movement. So, what is important is eye contact, dilation of eyes, constriction of eyes, and the swaying of eyeballs. In this, I will give some suggestions. See, during interview, you try to maintain eye contact with everybody. Number one. Number two is, dilation of your eyes gives a softness to your look This I have discussed earlier. So, your eyes should be dilated. Constriction of eyes shows rigidity in your minds and the viewing. So, constriction you don't never have in the interview, even if you are not liking the questions, even if you are losing a battle, you are losing the game, you are almost losing the job, but let the dilation be consistent in your eyes till you leave this particular room. After that, you do whatever with your eyes, but till then the dilation of the eyes should be there, it should look soft, and people should feel very comfortable talking to you. But one thing is swaying the eyeballs. This, let me tell you what. See, suppose in front of you, you have the chairperson and you are looking at him and answering to him. At that time, your eyeballs are moving from here to here. Your face is not moving, but your eyeballs are moving, swaying from here to here. Basically, what happens is when you are answering to the chairman, you are trying to judge the reaction of the other persons. I'll tell you, you are not very aware. Your eyeball movement is a very sensitive thing, immediately it will be caught attention. So, whenever you are looking at somebody, don't sway your eyeballs, don't sway. If you really want to look at, turn your head, view line, you change your view line, but never look like this. Swaying eyeballs is treated as a very negative one. Okay. And the frowning, never show disrespect by frowning to anybody during interview. Your face should be a very pleasant face all through, even if you are disliking. I said it's nothing but a drama, it's like a play, you are acting. Even if you are disliking the questions, you are disliking the reactions of the experts, the interviewer, yet your face should be looking so pleasing, so dignified, eyes should be dilated. Even if you are very sure by the time you are leaving the interview room that you are not likely to be selected, still you go back with that. Okay. Then comes the lies. Interestingly, what is this lies? There are certain body languages associated with the lies. During interview, suppose some questions are asked and the person is lying. I gave you some examples just some time back. It can be caught. The lies can be caught. How? The moment somebody tries to give a false answer, a wrong answer means lied answer, not wrong answer. When somebody gives a wrong answer, it is only the answer that the person thinks is right, but actually it's wrong. That's a wrong answer, but that's not lie. That's not lie. Only thing is he did not know the answer, he thought this is the answer. That's not lie. Lie is knowing fully well that what he is saying is not right, is lying. Okay? What happens is there's some involuntary movement of hand towards face, neck, hair, earlobes, it happens. When there is some kind of such movements, then immediately the reaction of the others is that he is lying. So, there's a saying that this person can lie with a flat face. Flat face means he looks straight, very straightforward and lying. That's an art. Hopefully, we don't adopt this art. Don't lie with a flat face at all, but at the same time, I'll tell you, the moment you start lying and you know that you are at the receiving ends, you are desperately looking for this job, but you may not be selected. So, all your negative thinking is going on parallelly when you are answering. So, at that time, if you think that by lying you will be winning the race, in such cases, your involuntary hand movements will start. You will find that, say anything may happen. Sometime you will be touching this, or you will be touching this. I think the answer is, the hand will go involuntarily. So, these things are very clear body languages, and the experts with their repeated interview taking, they can make out that who is lying. Taking time to think and answer through a long pause is also an indication that he is trying to lie. If you know the answer, see, my suggestion is very straightforward. If you know the answer, you give the answer. If you don't know the answer, then you confess that I don't know the answer. Very simple. But if you are trying to cook up the answers by lying, in that case definitely you require some time to think. See, you may require the time to think to remember the answer. But the point is, if the answer was so straightforward, then you don't have to really trust hunch your memory archives. it automatically will come in. Any question that if you know the answer, the moment you are asked the question, you may not give the right, absolutely correct statements, but the thing is, at least very close to the correctness you will speak immediately. Okay? But here what happens is, if you are now trying to cook up an answer by lying, you will take time. And the moment you take time, think and trying to give an answer with a long pause, the first impression is that you have lack of knowledge, you don't know. The second one is you have the lack of confidence, and the third one is maybe you are bluffing, you are cooking up. Okay? These are the different kind of body languages which you will go through once you go as an interviewee. Okay? Now, up to this I have discussed. Further, I will be discussing a few more things. I will give you some do's and don'ts for interview. Okay? Very quickly, very quickly. See, the thing is, quick tips on interviews, do's and don'ts. I will not elaborate this much. I have talked enough on these, so I am just putting it forward one by one. The do's: be normal, have a short smile, not cunning or over smart. Never be cunning or over smart during the interview, because if you are smart, the people sitting in front of you, whether it's a single person or a group, they are equally smart, if not smarter than you. So have a short smile, not cunning smile, not over smart smile. Okay? Consider them to be your friends or seniors. The interviewer, consider them as your friends or senior. Don't think that they are selecting you, so they are a job giver. Think them as your seniors. Consider them as smarter than yourself. That's a best play. Consider them as smarter than yourself. Then if you don't know, you simply say, I don't know. I would be happy to know the answer. Very simple way of doing it, handling this. Sit normally. Sit fairly straight. Restrict hand gestures. Basically what I am saying here, all these I have elaborated somehow or the other through soft skills and gestures, postures and grooming and all that. So these do's always keep in mind. How you use this particular discussion that I am doing is, once the whole lecture is over, you read it over and over again. Try to understand the situations and my suggestions, and then you follow the do's very categorically and follow the don'ts very categorically. You will be successful. I am sure about it, because I have tested this and I have also been confirmed by people who got the jobs after listening to me that they have been successful because of following this. Then comes the other do's. Give impression you really want to help. You really want to help. Give an impression to the interviewer that you have come here to give an interview not for taking the job, but to help them, to get yourself selected so that you can help them. This is how you look at it. It's a positive way of thinking. Then, field equitably for questions from all. Look at each individual very pinpointedly and answer. If suppose this person asks you a question, you look at him, answer him. Then wait for the next person to ask, or turn your head to the next person so that you are at least as if you are requesting him to ask you a question. But everybody should be fielded well. So field equitably. Never ignore any of the interviewer. See, take this very seriously, this suggestion. If there are so many, expect a question from each one of them. Never ignore somebody. Never. If suppose somebody has not asked any question, then after you have answered all those questions, you look at him, request him, means at least give a indication that you are ready for answering his question. Field equitably. Then look at others when there is a pause. This is important. If there is a pause, then look at others. Try to see their reactions. But these are all subtle split-second activities which you have to do it. Okay? If there is a pause, just try to have roving eyes across everybody. And there will be another question shot at you. Identify the key person and focus on him, the chairperson, if possible. Sometimes the chairperson is personally, appearance-wise, may not be as smart as others. You might find the chairperson is very soft, sober, very simply dressed, sitting somewhere in the corner. This is also a game plan. Chairperson not necessarily will sit in the center every time, because he wants to judge your reactions to the whole group. So sometimes chairperson plays a very critical role. He sits as a very non-entity somewhere in this. Chairperson does not mean that he is going to conduct the whole thing. He might have given the responsibility to another person. So, but if you can find out who is the chairperson, try to focus at him. Okay? How, I can give you tips. How would you know that who is the chairperson over here? You will find that there are, see, whenever the interview is going on and people are asking you questions, you will find that one person is being whispered at the ears repeatedly by one or two persons around. You will find that. If you find that there is one person sitting in that corner and the other persons on the either side is repeatedly giving some, very frequently giving some inputs to him, you take it for granted that he is the chairperson or he is the key person. Because basically what are they giving the feedbacks? The feedbacks is their reaction, they are giving it to the chairperson. So take this into consideration. Okay? Then maintain an image that any other group would be eager to have you. Very, very critical. You don't think that you have come here begging for a job. Make an impression, make your image such that you have come here to help them. But you are all, they should feel that they should be having you, or else maybe there are other groups who are eager to have you, and that increases your chance or probability of getting selected. Remember, this is not your last chance. Always consider that this interview is not your last chance. If you don't have that fear, start with this first. Always going for an interview, think this is not your last interview. This is not your last chance. If you are not selected here, you will be selected somewhere else. If you start with this, your fear complex will go out. If the fear complex goes out, everything else will fall in place. That is how the whole interview has to be attended. Okay, friends, go through this, whatever I have discussed so far in this particular week, and then after this, I will discuss a little more on this maybe, and then I will take you to a segment for group discussion. The situation is slightly different. Facing an interview alone and being selected. Another is facing or participating in a group discussion and being selected. These two are not the same kind of game. But however, the body gestures, the body languages and all such things are very, very important. But very quickly, don'ts. Don't look nervous. Don't be casual. Don't lean back. Don't stoop. Don't try to act smart. Don't look tense, even if you are internally. Everybody is internally, tense when trying to meet somebody for some purpose to gain something. Everybody, but don't look tense. Okay. Further don'ts: don't move your hands much. Don't touch collar buttons. Don't do this. Don't play with fingers like this during your interview. Don't look obliquely to others by swaying things. If you are answering to one and then obliquely looking at others is incourteous. And also don't focus at only one person. If you think he is the chairman and you are focusing on him, you are ignoring others, which is not right. Okay? If you follow these don'ts, 5 special don'ts I will tell you. Special don'ts. Don't take success for granted, even if your interview did go well. If your interview had been going all well and then you are coming out, don't feel that don't take it for granted that you are selected, because there may be another person who is better than you. Number 2, don't take success for granted, even if some internal member or agent gives you prior assurance. Don't forget, they are paid for it. What I mean by this? Suppose you have been now you got a call because of some agent, and agent assures you, you give the interview, you will be selected, I will see to it that you are selected. Never take it for granted. Never. Because they are paid for telling you this, alluring you to the interview and arranging your interview call. Maybe knowing fully well you may not get it, is another candidate. He is saying this to everybody. Everybody, whomever these agents are arranging for your interview, they are giving the same kind of promises to everybody. So never take it for granted. Okay? Don't show excitement even if you get hint of being selected. It happens. During interview, you may get hints that you are likely to be selected. Don't get excited. Because if you get excited, you start making mistakes. And then you start answering in such, or such kind of gestures, which suddenly makes it very negative. Okay? And then some more special don'ts. Don't take failure for granted. That means when you are going for interview, don't go with the idea that you are not going to get selected. Even if your interview went for long and you have been grilled, very simple suggestion, friends. You have been grilled for long and it went for long. Don't think that it is going to be a failure, because very simply saying, if a person is to be selected, then the interview time will be longer. If the person initially is being judged as not worthy, then they will cut short the interview time and save it for the other persons. Okay? So, if your interview is only for 5 minutes, almost take it for granted you are not likely to be selected. But if it goes beyond 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, if it goes to 1 hour, you can be rest assured that you are being selected. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent so much time with you. Okay? So, you don't take failure for granted if it has gone longer and you have been grilled, because the grilling is a part of that whole drama, and the longness is the time that they have used for you, invested for you, is to judge you the best. Okay? And then don't take failure for granted even if your interview did not go well. If your interview did not go well, you come out and start retrospecting, thinking my interview was not good, so I am not being selected. Quite often it has been proved wrong. So, I am always suggesting, while going for the interview, go with a positive attitude and come out with a positive attitude. Let the whole thing happen in the whole interview board. Don't brood on it. Okay? And you simply always think that you have gone for the interview to win. So, your success will all depend on what is the positiveness that you have. So, be positive for your interview. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much for this. And in the next week, I will discuss about the group discussions.